Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Alright, so today I'll be talking about something, but I want to be free in my speech. I want to be relaxed. But what I'm talking about is very, very important, you see. So, the title of the message is The Processor, So, why I want to be free, what I want to talk is because I have points, but God is just going to lead me and how I flow. You see, I have notes here and everything written down, but there's no particular order or anything like that. I know it's important that I want to talk about, but what has to be said in this video has to come from my heart, and God having his way, basically. So, the processor will be an analogy that I'll be using throughout this whole video. For the sake of the subject matter, I won't give away exactly what I'm talking about. But if you catch on, you catch on. From the picture I'm going to put and from the processor and what I'm talking about, and basically the whole subject. But the whole point of this is manhood. That's the whole point. But I'm going to be using the processor as an analogy of how one gets to manhood, and is it really necessary for people to put them to take themselves to the factory where the processor is a functioning machine? So really follow me, because I'm going to be using language like this the whole time. Is it really necessary for people to go to that factory, or can they just build themselves up to attain the qualities and the values that people who've gone through the processor should have gotten if they didn't get them based on their own experience and how they conduct themselves? Can they get them outside of the processor? Yes or no? You see. So yeah, man, stay with me, buckle up, and really, really try to catch on. Okay? I'll try to explain to the best of my ability. There's no back and forth here, so it is what it is. Alright? Alright. And excuse me, I might be fanning myself. It's quite hot in here, so this is something that's just going to be happening. Alright? Okay. Alright. So the first question is, should Christians go? The answer is no. And I have various reasons for why I'm saying that. I'll touch on them, but as I'm talking throughout this thing, you will see why. A Christian, why it's not necessarily the best environment for a Christian. If the person has the option to not go as a Christian man or boy seeking to be a man, if you have the option to not go, don't go to the factory. If you see yourself being forced or put into a corner or something like that, or you see yourself succumbing to peer pressure, because all your peers now are saying, bro, when it's time, I'm taking myself down to the factory so I can be put through the processor. You see, it's it's real. The pressure is really real, and it can get to anyone if your head is not really guarded and your chest is not really guarded. That's why spiritual armor is important for both physical and spiritual things. You see, so you can guard your head with that salvation. You can guard your heart with that righteousness from Christ, so that we don't end up giving into things from the world because of pressure. You see, but the answer straight up, no. If you're a Christian, there's really no need for you to go through to go through the processor. There's no need, because God has his own way of shaping a man. God has his own way of building a man. And the thing is that in God, you will realize that not all men are the same. Unlike the processor, which seeks to bring out a matching product, you see, a matching product that's you're supposed to hold the same values, hold the same this, hold the same that. God has his own way of doing things. If you look at Christian men, the range that you find of the type of guy there is in the church, it's not the same. You see, and everyone is allowed to be the way that they are. Unlike the outcomes of the factory, the production of the factory, it's it's either you're one way or you're not it, basically. So that's kind of the disadvantage of being a product of the factory is that if you're not what the factory expects you to be, then you're just not that. You're not seen as a real product of the factory, even though you have been to the factory and have suffered the process. See, so really follow along. I'm speeding here. I'm going to be using this language a lot. Okay. All right, cool. So that's the first question down. Should Christians go? No. Okay, now, so the question may arise, Spela, why are you talking about this? Why is it important or anything like that? It's important because now we're in a time where young boys, younger than the age that conventionally this thing should be done, they find themselves being like really pressed under pressure to do this thing. And they're not doing it for the sake of, no, they're not doing it for the purpose of being a man fully now, to take on like the roles of a man in society. When they say, "Will the men please stand up?" and then they seek to be the ones standing up, and they want to take on every responsibility that comes with being a man. No, it's less about that and more about, I just want to get this thing done because at school they're bullying me. You see, so now it's kind of like losing its core meaning or like core purpose in a young man's life, in that it's supposed to change you and make you want to be an adult. You see, this thing is basically just about being an adult. There's stages to life. You see, you have a newborn baby, okay? You have an infant, you have a little child, you have a teenager, you see, and then you have a young adult, middle age, and then you have like elders and senior citizens, stuff like this, right? So when you're looking at it like that, a man and a woman, when they pass these ages of 18, 20, or 21, you're talking now to someone who just became an adult. So the adult version of a man is Indod, and the adult version of a woman is and the adult version of a girl is a woman. You see, so now that's basically what this is. You see, if you listen when they're talking to these young men, when they're seated down there and kind of covered up, and they're talking to them like, this is what we expect of you now, this is what we want of you now, you do this, you do that, you don't do this, the elders are throwing wisdom at him. If you listen, you can, like, this can apply to the other gender as well, as long as they're seeking to be mature. Most of the things that they say there is just about maturity. So it's literally just being an adult. That's the whole point of it. The point is not a blazer. The point is not a hat that looks fancy. It's maturity. It's all leading you to maturity. So if a person is 15, 14, 16, 17, underage, undergoing this thing, they're missing that whole point, because the point is maturity. I'm serious about being mature, and they're serious about me being mature. Hence, they're taking me to the factory so I can be put through the processor multiple times. I'll get to that, so that I can be able to withstand whatever comes out there. That's basically the point of the process, okay? Yeah, well, but yeah, all this intentionality, all this hard work, and all this is just for me to now become a mature person. That's why they now include me in the conversations of what's going on in the family. They'll include me in like even not financial things, but like some other things that are important. When there's a meeting, they call the young man now to come in and be an ear. You're not necessarily going to say anything, you're just going to listen, so that now you can build up your maturity. It's all about maturity, you see. So this is why I'm talking about this, is that we can understand that it's less about a blazer, it's less about a hat, it's less about a name, a title amongst men or amongst boys or amongst women, which is okay. You see, it's less about that and more about maturity. All right. Even though those things come with it, the point is to be mature. This is what a lot of us are missing. We're missing it because we're just too focused on the glory of everything. Oh man, you did it. You the man. But can he be trusted? Is he now trustworthy? Has he shown any qualities to show that maybe if he's not trustworthy yet, is he trying? Is he responsible? Can he be given a task and like, work it out to its completion? How is his thought process? Can he brainstorm? If you try to pick his brain, will something good come out of that? How is his thinking? Is he good at thinking? Does he have an eye for things? Can he offer a perspective that no one was seeing? How good is he in situations that need us to sit down and really, have grace with somebody or discipline somebody? Where is his head at? See, now these are all the things that come with testing to see if someone is mature. But if we don't do that, then how will we ever know if the person is mature or not? Okay, so that's number one. That's number one. And that's why I'm talking about this. Explain what the process is deeply, elaboratively. Okay. So I'm going to talk now about like the processor. So you've heard me talk about factory processor. So again, for the sake of the subject matter, I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is I'm talking about. But from what I've been saying, I guess if you know, and you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So what is the processor? Okay. So work with me here. Picture a factory. A factory is a building where things are built. Basically, it's a building where things are built. So manufacturing happens here. A lot of hard work, raw materials is what's brought into a factory, and then they are molded. It's either they're burnt up or whatever conditions they need to be put in. There's some things have to be put in water so that they can be separated nicely. Some things have to be filtered in like that filter paper and all that other stuff. Some things have to be put through fire so that the impurities come out. Like, a factory is where the hard work happens. A factory is where the deep and dirty work happens. That's why they wear those overalls. Wow, this is actually blending well. That's why they wear those overalls and like to show that, okay, now we're here for the gritty, like the nitty gritty work. It's like it's happening. Okay, we're here to get dirty. We're here to start from the bottom. We're here to start from scratch. Okay, so that's a factory. Yeah, well, then in a factory you'll find machines. These are the machines I'm talking about, where it's either the thing is put through water or put through fire or something like that. So the processor I'll be talking about here is a machine that the raw material I have to be put through to test my determination to see how much I want what I said I wanted. To test my endurance, to test my strength, test my state of mind, to test my heart. You see, endurance, strength, state of mind, and heart. I think I'm going to stop there. Yeah. Endurance, strength, state of mind, heart. So it's to test those things, to see how much I have in me, how much virtue is in me. It's also to take out the impurities. So all the things that I had picked up before or naturally came with me that are not going to be useful in the stage I'm going into, they have to be taken out. Those are the impurities. They have to be burnt out, basically like put out through this processor though. Where as I go through this process, the impurities are coming out and I'm going to be a new vessel, basically, with new intentions, new focus, new drive, like a new mission. And I'm just, the things I'm focused on and the things I want for myself are different from the things that I had wanted for myself previously and the things that I was focused on previously. If those things were not good for me, you see, but if they were, then I'm just going now to go harder on those things, having the new way that I am I'm going to apply it now because now I've been made better by being put through this processor. But like now, let's shift for a bit. You see what I just described? Doesn't God do the same thing? Refiner's fire. A refiner's fire is basically that same thing. Is where you take metal, which maybe it was gold or something, or some steel or whatever. Let's say this was steel or whatever. Ne? You put it through fire so hot that it melts. You see, God does exactly that. When he tests a person, when he wants to grind things that he doesn't like out of you, when he wants to change you as a person, he will put you through fire. You will melt. Whoever you are, it doesn't matter. If God wants to change you, oh boy, he will do it. He'll melt you red hot, and then he molds you into what he wants you to be, basically, whether he has to hit you with the hammer while you're hot, or take something and bend you to the shape that he wants you to be while you're hot, while it hurts, while you're still in the process. You see, God, if you know God, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So then God does that exact same thing. Taking out impurities, refiner's fire is excellent for that. It will take out all impurities. I'm talking about everything: the pride, the jealousy, the hate, the unforgiveness, the whoremongers, all that stuff. It's out when God puts his hands on you. Okay? It's difficult to stay the same when the Lord is intentional about changing you. So now, look at the contrast. You see, now, if we say that boys or people who are male that haven't been adults yet should go to this factory, and this is the only factory that they can find maturity and be able to cross over into adulthood. I mean, no. This is the only factory where they'll be able to find lessons and be built up in the shape of someone who is able to tackle life as a mature adult, making rational decisions and being responsible and handling responsibility well. If we're saying that this is the only factory where they can get that, we're wrong. Because God, without a bush, without seclusion in some mountain far away, can isolate you right in your room at home. And people know this. You can be the only one fasting in your home, the only one being taken deep in prayer at night, and God is working on you in the midst of everybody, but you're alone. It's the craziest thing ever. He can seclude you alone. Like, he can seclude you in the midst of everything. While everyone is still around you, you're isolated. He doesn't need a mountain. He doesn't need a bush or a forest or something like that. But basically, this is what I'm saying. So it's kind of presumptuous to just say, this is the factory that this thing happens. And if as men, this is what we think, then we're not entirely correct in our thinking. So back to the example I was making. So this is the factory, and that's the processor. So that's its function: to take out the impurities, to test my heart, my strength, my state of mind, and my endurance. Yeah, to test all of that stuff. Okay, now listen. This is the thing about the processor, though. This is why it's different from God's processor. It's different from God's refining. Because this processor, I'm the one who puts myself through it multiple times. See, this is how it gets to test your heart and your endurance and your state of mind, and your strength. It's because I'm the one by myself. You see, the machine, it's put there. Someone lights the machine up and it's running. And you picture just a line of boys standing like that. And then one by one, we all have to go to this processor. It's not nice going to the processor. So you go to the processor, all the stuff. You come out of it. And then you realize that you don't just go to the processor once. You have to do it multiple times. You have to keep going over and over and over again. But no one's going to force you to go through the thing over and over again. You have to do it yourself. You're the one who has to be willing, because We're testing your heart, we're testing your endurance, we're testing your state of mind, and we're testing your strength. But then the problem is that what happens most of the time is that the person relies now on their own strength, on their own state of mind, like in terms of having a strong mentality, their own, their own endurance and their own heart. Own strength, their own like strength mentally, their own heart, as an and their own endurance, the ability to bear everything. They depend on their own. So now when a person is done going through the process multiple times and then they've finally been purified, everything is taken out. After that, they feel like basically like they're the boss of their own world. You see, they feel like they can stand alone now without anybody next to them because I went, I withstood everything. I alone, no one helping me. Did da. You see? So now that's where the problem comes, is because with God, you will know that the refiner was him, and the strength to get through the refining was him, because it's not easy to be melted and broken and twisted and bent to the right shape by God himself. No one's going to come out of that and pound their own chest and brag and say, I did it myself. Yeah, it's impossible. See, this process is different from that one. This one here, human strength can get you through it. And then what is the result of that? Pride. That's where the disadvantage is. That's where the problem comes now. Pride. And pride comes before shame. And pride comes before the fall. Okay? So this is what I'm trying to get at. This is what I'm trying to get at. Is that the processor, the fact that it can be handled using human strength is problematic, because what happens is that the person ends up proud. Again, I did, and this and that. Deal. That boy. There's a lot of pride in that statement. It's because I withstood everything. You'll It'll be a humble man who is able to give glory to God for being able to withstand everything that they have to bear in the processor, in the factory through the processor. It'll be a man who's maybe is not humble all the time. Maybe being humble is not his thing, but being able to give glory to God, it'll be the one who has chosen to just understand that it was never by my own strength, but by the strength of the one that made me and the one I prayed to. You see? So yeah, it's a really humbling thing. But yeah, follow my point, right? So now we've established what the processor is, where the processor is, the factory. I told you even about the overalls. Are you seeing how it's matching? I told you about the impurities being taken out. That's the whole purpose. You see, everything on the outside has its purpose and its whole thing, and it's this and it's that. But then once people are put through it and they come out of it, what was intended may not be what we get. The result we intended to get may not be actually what we get as an outcome from what we had from what we had thought was going to happen as an outcome. So this is what I'm trying to get at. So we have this now, right? I've explained the processor, I think, quite deeply and elaborately. But if you know what I'm saying, you're following along, aren't you? Okay, cool. Now I want to read out the pros and cons, because it's not like there's no benefit of going to the processor. There is, and going to the factory. You see, most in a factory, you're not just there. You're not just there alone. In the factory, you get there. If you are the raw material, I am the raw material. I'm gonna get there, and there's gonna be factory workers. There's like the CEOs, the managers, the supervisors, the staff, the skilled labor, the semi-skilled labor, the unskilled labor. You see, there's people everywhere in all fronts working, okay, really, really pushing the job. You see. So now when I get there, I'm gonna have to adjust to their culture. Culture just means the way of life, their way of doing. I'm gonna have to adjust to that. And then since I'm there to learn, I'm going to absorb the things of the factory. So that when I come out of the factory, I take the manners, the values, the manners, the values, and just the woo. I want to say what I want to say is something that means what is expected of me. This is what I'm trying to say. The manners, the values, and whatever is expected of me after I come out of this, that's what I'm going to take out and bring to the world as one who comes from the factory. Follow along, right? So it's a system like that. That's how this thing has to work. So there will be pros. You will learn good things, but there will be cons because nothing is perfect. But then why I'm making this video is that this thing is becoming less and less and less and less perfect, to the point that one may ask, why is this thing still happening? Because the fruit it was supposed to bear, it's not bearing anymore. Taking raw materials, boys, to the factory. Okay, so the pros, learning how to talk. Now, that's true. I don't think, like, it's not something we really think about a lot, but learning how to talk as a person is actually very important. And that's one of the very good things that comes out of that. In the factory, you get to learn how to communicate. A supervisor has to be able to communicate well with his workers, and then be able to communicate well with the manager, and the manager communicate well with the CEO, or the boss, whatever is the higher position. But what I'm trying to say is that there has to be a manner of talking amongst the people in the factory. And that's the one thing you learn there. It's amazing. It's actually really good. Like, you can come out of there with a very smooth tongue. You're able to say the worst thing ever, but in a way that it will not offend people. And there's a lot of euphemisms. You learn just a lot of good, like, metaphors, analogies, words that mean things that people will understand what you're trying to say, and a way to put a cushion under everything that you're going to say, so that when you land, or like when the point lands, it lands on a nice, kind of layer, so that no one is hurt by what you said. It's like, it's a nice thing, I won't lie. When the time comes though, like, it's applicable in places where it will make sense. You can't just apply that way of talking everywhere. That's the thing. Because, like, some people won't understand it. Because it's you go places, you go, and then drive your point home nicely. Think a sandwich. The delicious part is the patty, but there you get to learn how to talk, and your speech will be able to, like, put bread and sauce and lettuce and tomato between that, so when the person bites, it's a whole meal type thing. So yeah, that's one thing, Shama, like, that's a very good aspect of it. Bearing life and facing life head on. Yes. So what did I say? They're testing your heart, your endurance. Endurance is needed in life. So from watching people work in the factory, and you yourself being put through the processor over and over and over again, and then you yourself taking yourself through that processor, ngamasbom, so that you can finish the job there. Because it gets to a point where no one is going to tell you go to the processor. You have to do it yourself. It really it hurts to go through the processor, but you have to go through the processor over and over and over and over again. That's why endurance is then built up in the person. So that's another really good thing. you get to learn how to endure a lot. But then what I learned in my own experience is that you get to learn to endure physically, not spiritually, not emotionally. Nah, not that one. Yo, boy. Not mentally. Well, mentally, yeah, but not emotionally. You don't get to learn to endure emotionally because the emotion part is the one that's mostly like neglected. And that's basically how God got me the following year. Because this is the December and then this is the whole year afterwards. It was all just an emotional test the whole year. The one part of my syllabus that was neglected. Because what's the one thing? No more ones in my hand or die, God. See, negligence of emotions is dangerous because now life needs a person to feel, whether you're a man or you're a woman. Because if no one was expected to shed waterworks, then why are waterworks there? Why are the emotions there if the man has to neglect them? So a man also has to learn how to deal with the things that he feels and that there's a way to deal with those things as a man. But that one part is neglected the most. And that's the struggle I had the year after. I knew how to endure physically. It's not a problem because of the processor and the pride that I had to like be someone who endures. But then now emotionally though, I was junk. I didn't know what to do. Cause no more ones in my hand, I die, God. You see. So now, okay, let's carry on. Determination to be, right? Highlight B. Determination to be, and valuing being a man. See, an active thing. So I'm talking about be and being is because this is active. You're actively being a man. This is the teaching I gave like in the previous video, in that as a man, you are intentional about being a man. It's not that you're just going to sit back and then one day you're going to wake up and be indodekot. No, you are intentionally working every single day, yabo, changing the way you think, even your attire, and like people from afar can see you. Babone esisidima o sako basically. Usekude, whether it be your clothes, whether it even be something as like a haircut. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to be a dignified person who on like dignity within yourself, dignity amongst others, respect within yourself and respectful towards others, if you want to be a man who's a man, a man's man, a man amongst people, a man amongst men, you are intentional about doing that yourself. You see, well, no, not yourself, but like what I'm trying to say is that it's in your mentality that this is what I am and this is what I do. I'm a masculine man. I'm a manly man. It's not something that just you wake up and then all of a sudden that's just who you know. It's an active thing. It's active. When they say be a man, it's active. You're putting your foot to the ground and working out yourself, changing yourself, doing things, putting yourself in situations, taking up responsibilities that will force you to be a mature male person, which is a man. Just like if a girl wanted to be a woman, she would take up responsibilities, put herself in situations that would force her to be mature so that she could be a mature female person, which is a woman. That's what I'm trying to get at. So that's one thing you learn there, to be intentional about being a man. You don't just sit back and be a man. You don't just lay on the sofa and eat potatoes and expect to be a man one day, or go in the kitchen and whatever, and then you expect to be a man. Nothing like that's going to happen. You're going to be a boy forever in your thinking, in your way of doing, and just in your presentation of yourself. So, yeah. It's less about the foreskin and more about the determination. All right. Easy step 1 into maturity if used correctly. Yes. So it's an easy step 1 into maturity if it's used correctly. What do I mean by that? I mean that going to the factory You see, now this is what I want to highlight. I'm going to touch on it when I get to the disadvantages, but I want to highlight it now. Is that it's step one. Going to the factory is step one. I said the subject matter of this whole thing is manhood. It's step one of manhood. It's not step 10. It's not step 100. You're not done. Going to the factory does not mean that you are done. No, it means you have entered into what you went to the factory to be. Just like a product that comes from a factory. Like, we can't really say this TV is a TV because it's brand new. Okay? It hasn't been tested as a TV yet. It hasn't been put up on a wall and we see how it stands nicely. It hasn't been switched on and then we press its buttons and we see how it works and it plays and displays and we change the settings and we change the brightness and the contrast and we see if we can connect Wi-Fi well to this TV. It hasn't really been tested as a TV yet. So coming out of the factory as a new product is just step one of being a TV. It's not until we watch the TV, we change channels, we do all this stuff, we increase, decrease the volume on this TV, that now we can say this TV works well. This is a really good product from that factory. Same with being a man. Coming from the factory means that it's step one. It's step one of being a man. Okay? It's not now step 100. Now we have to really see the fruits of going to the factory. We have to see what is it that he was given in this factory. Remember what I said? I said you have values and things that are expected of you coming out of that factory. These are the things you're going to be taking into the world, so that when you go out there, they can say, this is a child of that factory. Same thing with God, isn't it? When he puts you through that fire and you come out as a very loving Christian, when you go out into the world and you act and you interact and you mingle with people, they have to see that this is a child of God. You see? So all this is still possible in God because God knows how to shape a man as well. This is what I'm trying to get at. It's not necessarily that this factory is the only place where men are built. If you're a Christian man, God knows exactly. In fact, he knew you before you even knew yourself. He knew you before even your mama knew she was pregnant with you. So he definitely knows what kind of man to shape you to be. Isn't that amazing? Hallelujah. So now it's step one, bro. It's not step 100 or step 50 or step 1,000,000. It's step one. The TV is brand new. We still have to switch it on. We still have to see. That's why when you come home and you sit on that thing that's this color and you're sitting there and the moms and them are talking, they say, usengumntwana apha ekhaya. Pha ke ngoku ntoni sizobona ke ngoku ngokwenza kwakho. Yeva ke? Thina asikwazi uba yintoni ubuyenza pha. Because they don't go to the factory. They're not allowed in there to see what's actually happening. So thina siyazi into buyenziwa pha. Kodwa ke ngoku sifuna ukubona from the values and the things that you're expected, the things that are expected of you coming from the factory. We're expecting to see now what fruit will you bear as now that you claim to be a man. So it's step one. So I'm saying it's an easy step one into maturity if used correctly. So if you get that booster like that, where now people are giving you the title already and saying you're a man now, and then you just have to prove it. It's an easy step one. Rather than you're, oh yeah, this boy. And then now you have to prove you're a man without any platform to stand on. It's a bit more difficult. So if you use it correctly, it's a very nice step one into becoming a very mature and responsible man. All right. Now we come to the cons, disadvantages. I'm going to be straight. The first disadvantage I wrote down here is fornication. Again, you're a Christian man, or like you're a young boy and you're raised in a Christian home. You know fornication is a sin. You know you shouldn't do it. The one thing that you will keep hearing there over and over and over is fornication. The pressure to fornicate before you go and after you've went is real and really real. And I think the pressure is more after you've went, because now everyone is saying, I took my Polo for a test drive, I took my Porsche for a test drive. When are you taking yours for a test drive? Which is code for when are you going to fornicate? And it's, if you're someone who's trying to live for God, it may affect you. It may affect how you see yourself. It may affect your Christian walk. You may feel some type of way. You may feel pressured. But I like this boy, this boy who just came out now. He's like, they're like, hey, have you ever done it? I said, no. They laughed at me. I don't care. He said he doesn't care. Whatever. He's still gonna keep himself a marriage, even though they were giggling and laughing at him. So right there, that shows that boy is solid on the firm ground he stands on, named Jesus Christ. You see, but I'm being very, very serious. This is the truth. The one thing you keep hearing over and over again is about fornication. Before you go in there, they'll be telling you that when you get out, aren't you excited to take your Porsche for a test drive? And then once you're out, they're asking you, so how was the test drive? Who said I even did it? Man, shout out Dalvao. Yeah, you're going to see the video at the end. You see, this is why you must have people praying over you. I wondered why I never really took my Porsche for a test drive. And I was so mad. Bro, the whole time I was ashamed. I was like really, really dang on ashamed properly. Yeah, bro. Because I was like, this is a shaming shame. A shame amongst shames. A shameful shame. All this hard work and nothing. And it's not like I never tried. It's not like how do I put this? It's not like I never tried to put the metal to the road. I did. But I failed so many times. There were times where there's times where you don't even get the chance to start the car. But then the car is on. All now that it needs to do is just get out of the garage and go to the driveway. But things happened. And that's why it's important to have people praying over you. You're going to see the video at the end. The things she spoke over me, now it's making sense why it never happened. It's because God honored her prayer. And he basically locked all chances of anything ever happening. Gaga. Because he knew the plans he had for me. You see, he locked bro, it was so confusing. It was very confusing why nothing was working out. So anyway, the second point, so that's fornication. It's really bad. And if you're a Christian person out there, you have a brother who's about to go, or young, or something like that. It's like, you have to be aware of this if you don't know. And if you know, then, bro, make the right decision for your brother. Advise your brother in wisdom. For real. Pray about it if you got to. Matter of fact, always pray about it. Everything, to be honest. But pray about it and then talk to your brother, because it's crazy out here. These kids get sucked into a life that they don't really know what they're going into. Too much pressure. And the thing is, now you're going to be a father at like 19, busy fornicating. And I'm not going to. The thing is, it's just the weirdness, though, of the talk. Because let's put it like this. Sometimes like a product will come out of a factory, and like, let's say this product comes out and it has oil around it, like a black oil. Let's just say that. What they say to the product basically is that find something that you're gonna take off this black oil from yourself and put it on. And that's the whole motivation for fornication. It's like there's some filth around you, and the only way to clean that filth is to fornicate. Think of the sickness of that, because they tell you, but don't now. It's fine. It's fine. it's okay. But the point of this is just it sounds hella demonic and it's wrong. You can't say that, especially about the girl that you're going to be fornicating with, King. Because what do you mean for her? You know how strong faith is? Let's say, because this thing, it's definitely a lie, it's cap. But then now, let's say the person really believes that they're rubbing off black oil on somebody else, which is filth. You know that's going to happen for real, right? Demons are going to do that for real. They're going to actually torment this person now, or use that as a gateway to like bring bad omens to this person because of the faith that you had in being like, oh, I'm removing black oil from myself into this vessel. They say don't let it be a vessel you value. Hey, just any vessel J out there and take out the black oil. Not enough good examples, my second point. So this point, it's actually becoming more and more real. There's not enough good examples in the factory. So I spoke about unskilled labor, semi-skilled labor, skilled labor, supervisors, managers, CEOs. There's just like right now, the state of what it is at the factory is that there's not enough good examples. What do I mean? That means that when the person goes in as a raw material and then they're coming out now as the product, they don't have enough good values and manners and like things that are good planted in them that they can take out into the world, because the people that work there themselves have been corrupted. They are not the best examples for the raw materials coming in there that are supposed to be shaped into the image of what is expected of people who come from the factory. You see, in that factory itself, there's not enough good examples now of what a man is, basically, what a good product from the factory is anymore. There's not enough good examples. Let's be honest, some of these people roll it are criminals. Abusers, some of them. They beat their girlfriends. And they go in and work in the factory. And they're supposed to bring out top quality product, but they themselves are cheap and corrupted. Not of good value. So how can one of little to no good value bring out something that's top tier product? Make it make sense. That's my point. You see. Now, what is corrupting them? One of the things, there's many things, but one of it is my third point. Alcohol. There is no happiness in alcohol. There's hangover in alcohol. Sickness. You must ask those who drink. I'm serious. In the morning, they look like zombies. No, bro, for real. Alcohol is the leading factor in why things are just not the same anymore. It's because the factory workers are no longer focused on bringing out top quality products from the processor, but now they're worried about just the benefits that come with these raw materials. Let's say each raw material comes with a pint of alcohol. They're just more interested in that alcohol than they are in the raw material. Let's be honest. This is the reason for corruption. It's because now they don't even pay attention. That's why you'll find that there's people who come out of the factory and then they meet others from different factories. Yeah, bro? Maybe in that factory they take the work a little bit more seriously, the employees, right? But then in the other factory they don't. They're more worried about the pint of alcohol. So now when me, the product of this factory, and the product and another guy who's a product of another factory, we bump into each other. And then I'm asking him questions of the values, the manners, and the things expected of us as people from factories. And I ask him, bro, this, that, and the other about a factory, and that, and that, and that, and this, and that. And then he doesn't know jack. Why? It's because no one was intentional about teaching him anything. They were just more worried about what he's coming with. Where's the pint? Do you have a pint for us? Yeah, I got a pint for you. All right, bed. go through the process, whatever. We don't care. It's like that's basically what it is. The whole thing has been ruined. People now are initiating little boys because it's like we want this alcohol, we want this pint, one way or another. Waiting 2 years is too long. No, you strong, you build. They don't really care about that boy and his manhood. They want the pint that comes with him coming to the factory. Simple as that. And you know for sure it's more than a pint. I'm just being euphemistic, talking about a pint. You know for sure it's like the things that are required are more than anything that it's a lot. You see. So yeah. Alcohol has been it's the biggest thing. And I dare to say, if alcohol this goes for most of culture and everything that goes on in culture. I'm putting my foot on this and this is the hill I'm dying on. If alcohol was taken out, no one would be as enthusiastic about these things as they are right now. No one would care. People will tell you now, I love tradition. I love it. I love everything about it. I'm proud to be traditional. It's like, okay, if I'm telling you now, bro, half the people that say this stuff, if not 75% or most, if we take out the alcohol, they wouldn't care to do this. Some of them would stay on keeping these traditions and all this, but eventually the gas tank would die out because it's like the amount of work that goes into that stuff and they have no reward. They wouldn't bear it. The pride, it won't keep them there. Love for the thing, it won't keep them there. Addiction to the hull is what keeps a lot of people still doing this thing. And they don't even care about the products, the raw materials coming in. They just care about what the raw material is bringing and how they can benefit from it, basically. I'm telling you now. Anyway, another disadvantage is pride. Yes, pride. Dangerous, 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 dangerous. I said most. The thing that causes the pride is that the person, oh, I can endure. Oh, I did it. Now you're supposed to respect me. It becomes weird. It turns into just a weird person. But then I want to talk about another different aspect of pride. This pride is the pride of thinking that you are done with life. What did I say? It's only step one. But no, most people think that once I've been to the factory, now I have all this respect and I have this title and I'm just so nice. I must be done with life. You're not. Yeah. That's the biggest mistake you can ever make in your whole life, Kemo. It's because you think you're done with life when you're actually just on step one. That's the problem. You see, if you don't use the platform you're given, because it's a platform, we're putting you on a platform. See, we're saying from here now, build on. But then most people just think, I'm on this platform, I'm fine forever now. I don't need to do anything else. That's the disadvantage, Kim. It's because people just think, I'm fine here on this platform, and it's fine. No, not so. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to being a mature adult, man or woman. So just because you're dressed nice, just because people are calling you a certain name, just because now you have more respect at school, more privileges, more allowances, you have your own room, your own back room, your own whatever, your own house, your own car, your own whatever, you're not done with life. You're in step one of life. Okay? As an adult. Step one of life as an adult. So that pride, it's the most dangerous one because it kills the enthusiasm in a it kills the ambition in a person. Yeah, it kills ambition, not enthusiasm, ambition. Because it's ambition that will drive a person to want to be a really, really strong adult, to want to be a responsible adult, to want to be a mature, taking life head on, put me at the forefront, I'm trustworthy, I know what to do, adult. It's the ambition, the drive to want to be recognized as a man or recognized as a woman. But I think for women it's a little bit different. See, but that drive, the ambition, that's what's going to get you there. But no, what you find is that the person has no ambition whatsoever. They don't care about getting a job until it's very, very difficult and they're hungry and whatever. And it's like, there's a scripture for that. I'll get to it later. It's like the person just doesn't care because they feel like they're done with life. I was just so nice. What more can I do? I'm the man. Nah, bro, chill out. Another god and the idolatry of men. Okay. You see, this one here, now I'm speaking like spiritually. You see, let's be honest. This thing is not of Jesus Christ. There's another God in charge of this, not the Lord Jesus Christ, not the one true living God. There's another God in charge of this, small g. You can hear it in the songs. You can hear it in the way people talk. And the one I'll just highlight now is the idolatry of men. There's a lot of idolatry of like men. You're idolizing men. You're putting men as champions in places where they don't belong. And this is what causes people to think they're done with life again. It's because if you give someone too high a title when they're still here, you're not giving them enough like drive to want to be better. The ambition is dead because they think they're done. Yo, umkhulu mdala. All because we're counting years that you've been circumcised. You see, it becomes a problem now because the person just doesn't want to do more for themselves because they already think, man, I have so much respect from the niche squad. I'm done. No, you still have a lot to do. So the idolatry of men is kind of crazy. You can come back with a very weird mentality. Instead of seeing people as people, and that you deserve respect as well. I sebenza like ayingendawo into yoba umuntu mhlambi olokuqala wathini kanjani. If the person is being disrespectful or unfair, then they're being disrespectful and unfair and they have to be checked on that. Doesn't matter that you're older than me. Doesn't matter that you've been circumcised for many years. You have to be respectful. You have to be considerate. You have to act accordingly. We don't work like that here. This is real life. Okay? So the number of years of being circumcised doesn't matter. It's because this thing, depending on what your initiation was, the factory, depending on the location of your factory, depending on what your initiation was, it is only relevant in that geographical area. It's only relevant in the Eastern Cape. If Munna was Soto or something like that, you're going to be relevant only there. The stature of your manhood and the dominance that you have is only relevant there. You go to another place, it's gone. Why don't you get something universal like a degree that's relevant in all provinces? Let's go to real universities. I'm being serious. Not university like slow tetongayo. Iqala ngo-D. Talk about Inxeba. I don't really know what to say about Inxeba. If you've seen that movie, you've seen it. If you haven't, you haven't. I don't really agree with what is going on in that movie. Yes, I am all for like the truth about things being exposed so that people are not ignorant. The Bible says in Hosea 4 verse 6 that people perish from a lack of knowledge. So this is why children go there and die. The next point is potential death. The reason why children go there and die is because the parents didn't know, probably the father didn't know. And that's the sad part for most people, is that the father doesn't know what's going on up there. He never went, but then he's sending his son from pressure, or his son saying, Dad, man. It's like, you see, if you're a father and you're not able to be firm enough and teach your son well to be strong mentally against the pressures that come from the outside, when the stuff like this happens and he's taken up there and things that you don't even know are happening to him and you can't say anything because you never went, So now when it's a discussion amongst men who've been, you're silenced because you see, it's like it's just best to stay out of what you've never been in. I'm just gonna cut that sentence there. So Ingleba, that movie, I don't agree with what was going on there because the agenda behind that movie was homosexuality. So hey, la la la. If there's homosexuality going on in other factories and employees and supervisors or employees and raw materials, my gosh, Jesus, please help me. I hope that is something that's not going on up there. If it is, Jesus must intervene now because that is unacceptable. Factory workers, employees, whether it's skilled, semi-skilled, or unskilled labor, do not interact in that way. In that way, with the raw materials or with each other. Hey, I sebenza leyo nto leyo. Cha. If that's what's going on, mavele iyekwe. Akuvale yonke into. Ngoku. Yo, hayi soze. Hayi nyana yakho ngizomphatha kakuhle. Hey. The next point was potential death. So potential death, yes. That's the very scary reality that you could go there and die. Before I went, it was like the 2nd of December. No. Before I went, it was like still November. And then like 12 people had died, or 2. 12 or 2. But I had 2, the number in it. Whether it was 2 or whether it was 12, it was still too much. I said 2 a lot. So I was like, yay! What's going on? And one of my friends was like, chill out. You won't die. Well, maybe you might die. But I don't think you'll die. Well, that's if he was not very encouraging. His encouragement was not the best. So those are the pros and cons, ladies and gentlemen. I've been speaking now for almost an hour. So now Umdu might be listening to me and going, well, Spelele, you've told me all this doom and this gloom. But so then what should I do then? Give your life to God. That's what you must do. What is the solution? Give your life to Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Why? Because that's what I did. And that was my escape out of all these things. And ever since 2023 July, when I got saved, I haven't gone back to like go and check who's in now and all this. Hey, it's chai. You see, I haven't been to the factory to go and look and see if the processor is still processing raw materials the way I left it. I haven't the old employee, because it's like I used to be a factory employee as well. So now I haven't forgotten the gents there. I know them by face, I know them by name. You know, it's a very serious brotherhood and bond that you take, and it's a very good thing to build those kinds of relationships with people. But then I haven't been back to the factory because I know if the factory is not of Jesus Christ, I don't need to be in the factory. If Jesus Christ is not the God of that factory, I'm not in that factory. That's what I said when I left. I said, when I came back, so see, again, they teach how to talk. So I kind of used how to talk against this whole thing. Said, when I came back, okay, the moms and the makulus and the tatabaus, okay, the moms and the aunts and everybody else, the grannies and everything, what they said to me was, follow God, okay? Thetha noThixo wakho. Evake. What was encouraged to me is that I be where God be. I walk where God walks. See, this is now the path that I'm taking. I want to put my foot where God has put his foot. He says, put your foot here. I'm going to put my foot right there. I'm not going to put it anywhere else. And then I said, as a way out, that's why I'm saying give your life to God as a way out. I said, if God's feet are not stepping in this territory, then I'm not as well. You see now, it's above anybody. Because I'm being serious and I'm being intentional about where I'm going now with my life. If if God, my life is where God is. So if God is not here, then I'm not there. This can go for anyone who's trying to quit groove or anything like that. If God is not there, then I'm not there. Clear as day. So give your life to God as a solution out, and then okay. I'll attach videos at the end, so you can see what was said to me. And it's like, for me, that's the most important part, to be honest. More than the factory, because when you go to a workplace, this is gonna tie in so nicely. When you go to a workplace, you have jargon. Doctors have their own jargon, engineers have their own jargon, all this stuff, and dentists and whatever. So when you go to the factory, they teach you the factory, like the workplace jargon, so that you get to use that jargon in the workplace, and some of it outside of the workplace. Some of it is relevant for in the workplace, some of it is relevant for out of the workplace. So the jargon that is learned there is what we communicate with amongst each other, in and out. There's jargon for in and there's jargon for out, you see. So now when you're out there and we're meeting one from another factory, another from another factory, we're going to speak that jargon from the factory, and then like maybe there may be some miscommunication or like some misunderstanding in terms of words, but I can tell from the way you're talking that you're from a factory, same factory as I, the same kind of standard, the same kind of work, you see. So we can be able to sit with each other and be like, nah, factory man, yeah, that's you. So yeah, you see. But more than the learning that jargon, more than learning, because people go around now spilling that jargon on Facebook, they go around telling their girlfriends the jargon. More than that, that's less important for me. What's most important is what your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, everybody gets to say to you when you're back, when you're sitting on that thing that looks like this, and you're sitting there and they're talking to you. That's what's most important for me, because that's where the value of wisdom comes from. That's where you go with the really deep words of encouragement, of motivation, and the things that will build you and stay with you as a person. I told you what my aunt spoke over me there was the thing that kept me from fornication afterwards. Clean. You're going to see it in the video afterwards. Love my aunt, man. Tell you what. Just note there's joy outside alcohol. Yes, there's joy outside alcohol. So, bro, like, a solution out of the alcohol trap, because most of this thing is a alcohol trap. The reason why it's still going on, avoid alcohol and you might just avoid amapom and mikit. Yes, listen, the reason why most people still attend these things is for the alcohol. If the alcohol is gone, I'm half, bro. Because no one who is sober now is even interested to go there and strain their voice, because the love of the thing is not necessarily there when the addiction that keeps them in the thing is not there. It is like people are addicted to alcohol. It's not funny. It's really not funny, because culture and alcohol are like this. If you take out the alcohol, basically. So there's joy outside alcohol. Especially, how do I find joy outside alcohol? Give your life to God. I'm being very, very serious. There's literal joy in Jesus Christ. I was never a happy person growing up. I never used to smile. I never used to do anything. But ever since I got saved, I have a reason to smile for nothing, because I have joy in Christ. I was never a happy person, even after Njangil. I hope I can find that picture of my face and just put it here so I can see it. But like, yeah, even after, you see it on my face, it's like, that's just the face I took with me every day. I'll just walk like that. But until Christ, that's when I knew joy, bro. Because with Christ comes, you forgive yourself, you forgive people, you yourself are forgiven. You're cleansed. It's like, it's a really relieving feeling. You ever apologize to someone and they forgive you and you had really wronged them and you were really sorry, and that just comes over your chest? Like, picture that times 1,000. Coming in Christ is the best thing ever. So there's real joy in Jesus Christ. There's real joy in the gospel of good news. The gospel of good news, like the good news of good news. Even. But basically, there's real joy in the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm telling you now. So if you quit alcohol, you might just quit this whole thing. You might find no need to go back to the factory. Because let's be honest, the processor has a certain odor. Boy. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, humility, hard work, and keep your head down. Okay, what do I mean? So now let's say you're someone who you've never gone to the factory that everyone is going to in terms of cultural practice. So now it's going to the factory. There's a way to maintain yourself. Yabo? There's a way to carry yourself. And there's a way to be sure of your manhood without feeling like you're less than and without being affected, by the words and the pressure of the people around you. What do I mean? Humility, hard work, and keeping your head down. Keeping your head down means you're focused on what you're doing. You know what that means, bro? That means you're doing what you're doing because you know what you're doing. So if you never went, you have the understanding of why I didn't go. You understand exactly why. It's because you saw that I could go, but I could still learn all these things I'm supposed to learn from there, which is how to carry myself as an adult, how to be mature, how to be a man amongst men. Yabo? I can still learn all of that without necessarily going to this factory for processing, but I can still go to the originator of the processing, the refiner's fire, the all-consuming fire, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, him who sits above all. Boy, I will tell you something. Listen, so when you keep your head down, you're intentional about what you're doing, and you're intentional about what you're doing, and you know why you're doing what you're doing, and you know what you are doing exactly. Hard work, meaning you're grinding. You are putting your foot to the ground. You are putting your hands to things and working and molding things for yourself that will eventually build you up as a person. You see, this is why now you can stand and be like, I am a man. And whoever comes now telling me things that I'm not a man, then you are just lost or void of understanding. There's just something that you do not understand as of yet. That circumcision does not equate manhood. And circumcision at a certain place does not equate manhood. Because we have seen multiple times that the person goes there, they do whatever, they come back, and boyish behavior is amplified times a million. Why? Again, there's not enough good examples for what a product of the factory should be or what a man should be. Now I'm just going to speak straight. You see, so what the Bible talks about is that God circumcises your heart. Think about that. That means it's a spiritual circumcision. NgesiXhosa ndingayibeka ndithi ubukhwengu kuphila enhlizweni xa sithetha intoni inyani, because le nto uba umntu aye phaa kodwa abuye engatshintshanga nto ithi loo nto ingxaki iphi isengqondweni. Kodwa izinto zengqondo like singathi zisuka phi, izinto zomphefumlo, yeva, izinto zilapha enhlizweni. It says out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The things in someone's heart affect a lot about how you think, affect a lot about how you speak, affect a lot about how you carry yourself. So when you get a circumcision of your heart, that's when with the change that can happen, where you change your heart from a heart of stone, meaning pride, to a heart of flesh, a humble heart, a heart that can accept conviction and chastening and discipline from God, where God can just touch that heart and it's sensitive enough to be like, okay, been wrong, let me change, let me do this, let me repent, let me do this. That's where the humility comes in. You have to be humble though to be able to do that. So the reason why you need to be humble is so that you don't look down on the people who did go somewhere to get the certification for manhood, but then they're coming back not acting like men. So that you don't look down on them and be like, ha ha, without going No, you can't do that because you're no better than the ones who look at those who didn't go and be like, haha, where went and whatever. You see, so you know better if you do that. So it's a thing of humility, hard work, undeniable work. People, if someone's looking at you, they're just jealous then at that point. And then keeping your head down, meaning you're focused, you're intentional about what you're doing, you know what you're doing, you know why you're doing it. Okay. And you know why you chose to do what you did, what you're doing. See? Okay. So now, if the option is there, don't go. Yeah. And this is my stance for everybody. That's how I start off everything. If the person says, I want to go, my first point is just say, don't. But then I see, is the person adamant? Are you really fixed on going? I bet. Since I've went, I know what to tell you. Like, I know how to advise you without giving you too much information. So that when you get there now, you're busy there saying everything. Even. But just if you've never went, if the option is there to not go, don't go. This is my position. This is my advice. Take it, leave it. It's up to you. So another solution, like still on the solutions, like how to deal with it. The onus is on you to be a man. The verse about having a servant, Proverbs 12 verse 9. Well, okay. So the onus is on you to be a man, yes. So it's less about what the factory can do for you, but what you can do for yourself. You see now, this is what I'm trying to get at. It's like you can literally attain all the stuff without the factory because the factory is going to desolation at this point. It's no longer what it used to be. It's no longer serving the purpose it's no longer serving the purpose that it used to serve well. At least I'll chill. So the onus is on you to be a man, intentionally and actively. And then it says, and I wrote here the verse about having a servant, Proverbs 12 verse 9. So there's this verse in the Bible, and I'm going to tie it in with this thing of thinking that you're done with life. There's this verse in the Bible that says, and let me just go and read it. Proverbs 12. And I just stumbled upon it, recently. And it's really good. It's a really good verse. Because it describes something important. Proverbs 12 verse 9. He that is despised meaning hated, but in this, like, who is just taken lightly. Yeah, the context was like, someone was just taken lightly. Like, you're not really held in that much regard, like a boy who never went to the bush. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoreth himself. The Jan, the indoda, the Chrotman. And he that honoreth himself and lacketh bread. You see now, this is the harsh reality of this thing. Abakhulwa bayalamba. Not that bayalamba as in whatever meaning you lump. I mean literal hunger, literal starvation and poverty. Abakhulwa bethu. Abanamisebenzi, they barely have any qualifications from school. It's tough. Not much is going on in their life. This is the harsh reality of this thing. So what is the Bible saying? The Bible is saying the one who is despised but has a servant is better than the one who honors himself. Well, the person who honors himself and gives himself all these titles and all these accolades and all this stuff, but lacks bread. The one who is despised is better than that person. Why would the Bible say something like this? Why? It's because at least the one who is despised, meaning at least he has enough bread. Listen to this. He has enough bread to feed himself and to afford to feed a servant. That means is standing on ground that is stable enough to be able to support himself and support somebody else. That means that person in life, he is established. You see, this is the thing that comes with the lowly. It's that they are closer to righteousness than the proud. The Bible says the right, the wicked man shall not be established, but the roots of the righteous shall not be shaken. The wicked man shall not be established, but the roots of the righteous will not be shaken. The Bible doesn't need to tell you that the righteous man is already established. It will just tell you that his roots will not be shaken. Meaning, the foundation on which this person was established and built up, when now something comes to try, you see, now picture this, the person, this is, the roots are under here, the roots are this, and then now someone is trying to shake this part, they won't be shaken. The Bible doesn't need to tell you that they're already established, but they're telling you that the wicked man will not even reach the first step, which is establishment. And that's the consequence of pride. It's the cause of pride. Pride is wickedness. So it literally can take a person to the point where they haven't been even established in life. So a person can honor himself and think himself to be higher and think himself to be somebody. The Bible says if you think you know anything, you know nothing at all. If you think yourself to be somebody and you think yourself to be somebody important above others, or like ahead of most people, ahead of most things, and you don't even have bread, the one who is despised, looked down upon, taken lightly, is better than you, because at least he has a servant. At least he has enough. It's not enough of a foundation and established ground to stand on to support himself and somebody else. At least. You see, that's the harshness of this reality. It's that it's not funny. The factory workers, we see them in their overalls, we see, we're like, wow, thank you for bringing back this boy, he went in a raw material, now he's a product. Thank you so much. And they're like, yeah, thank you. We're just here for the pint. And they get their pint and they go home. After December, nothing is pushing in their life. Some of them, piece jobs here and there. But is that life? It's not. Because they depend so much on what is going to happen in June and December. That's why I don't mind just taking a 16-year-old boy and be like, now you strong. And then shipping him off to go get circumcised. Go to the factory. You see? Alarm. Serious. It's not funny. It's a really shameful thing. So by sheer up, they initiate us, we leave them here, we go to schools and whatever, and we come back smelling nice and all this stuff, and it probably is not the best feeling ever. But there's a way out in Jesus Christ. It goes with thinking you're done with life. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to get at. The reason why people honor themselves and never see any reason to even seek establishment or to be built up, or again, their ambition is dead because they think they're done with life. See how it's tying in? They think they're done with life. So they see no reason to strive to be better, strive to carry on, strive to do more. And that's I would say it's deception that comes with this thing. Yeah, it got a little darker because the sun went down, but I hope y'all can see me. So that's like the deception of everything. So yeah, man. I think I'm done. I've never really done a video like this where I didn't know what I was going to say, but I think the words spoken here are sufficient, satisfactory. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. And I hope this has been like, I don't know, the video confirming something for someone who has basically like helped in terms of acquiring wisdom about something, because no one really will talk about this stuff. Yeah, well, hence I'm using all these analogies and all this so that I don't find myself in a lot of trouble. But to be honest, who can even say I said anything? What did I say in this video? what can you now go and take and say to people? Nothing. I didn't tell you anything. You know? But anyway, thank you for being with me so far. God bless all of you and your families. Young men, God knows how to shape a man. God knows how to shape a man better than any factory in the Eastern Cape or Lesotho or Botswana or wherever. God can do a better job. Or Chivenda or Zimbabwe or Uganda or Kenya, whatever. God can shape a better man. So stick with your creator. He knows what to do with you. Better than someone who still needs to be established in their own life and is struggling with an alcohol addiction, but it'll never be called an alcohol addiction because no one thinks they're addicted to alcohol. So yeah, man. Peace out and good night. You see how it's dark and stuff? Yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Let a man be a man. And when he is a man, let him be a mature man. Man.
Otata bam, obhuti bam, onyana, nodade bawo babantwana, nodade bobhuti okrwala, ndiyabulisa mangwevu ngelihle igama lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu, amen. Ndibulise umzi wamazizi ojama kasijade ofakathi. Ndibulise wonke umuntu okhoyo phakathi kwale nkundla yamangwevu namhlanje ozosimasa ngelihle igama lenkosi yethu Yesu Kristu, amen. Andizukuyala mna obothangisa. So uyaliwe ngotata omkhulu, notata omncinci, nomakhulu, nobhuti, nodade bawo. Akho nto nzaba sayithetha thangisa. Bawagqibile. Linye nje lelokuthi ubudoda obu ungene kubo namhlanje abukhulelwa. It's not about izimvi enhloko. Akukho ngokubana ube uza kunxiba ibhulukhwe. Kodwa xa kuthiwa uyindoda kubandakanywa izenzo. Ukwenza kwakho ke mntanami, noba wenza ngeyiphi indlela, noba wenza kakuhle, noba wenza kakubi, kodwa ulangazelelo lwabantu xa bekubona usenza noba yintoni noyenzayo. Bathi sinqwenela ukubona abazali bakhe. Xa usenza kakuhle uzayiva ithoni. Oh, umntana kabani nalo bethuna wenza kakuhle kangaka. Ngaske sibone unina, ngaske sibone uyise. Iyasuka kuwe lento izokusulela abazali bakho. Iyafana ke naxa usenza kakubi yatshintsha ithoni. Kuthiwe kaziba ngokabani nalomntana. Aziba unina ubangavela apha angathini. Lento ndithi ke thangisa ke ubudoda bukhulelwa. Kodwa kukwenza kwakho okubangela into yokubana kuthiwe yindoda le. Maninzi amadoda kodwa mbalwa amadoda. Na njengento yokubana ixesha esesiphila kulo ngoku siyaboyika abantu abangotata ngenxa yendlela abenza ngayo kubantu abangomama. Kuthiwa ngamadoda kodwa indlela abenza ngayo ayiyo leya yamandulo apho wawuthi xa ubona umuntu ongutata uqonde yobana ndikhuselekile. Kunjalo nje umkhwazi uthi ndilinde ngoba ndiyoyika akukhaphe nyani ngenyameko nangokunyaniseka ehamba nawe ungoyiki, kodwa sinako ngokukrwaqela kancinci. Uthi
xana ke ngoku xa ndiyala ndithi mntanam ungasuki ekwenzeni izinto ezilungileyo. Just keep on doing the right thing. Simple, the principle of ubomi. Do good, simple. Yenza right, noba wenza wrong yenza right. Awuphindi uyisi yenza right, lonke ixesha ebomini bakho wenze right. Akulanga ke loo nto xa le nto uzibekele yona ke mntanam inzima kakhulu. Njengelast born ke ithetha from experience ukwenza izinto ezi-right into enzima ke kuyo ukugcina uzenza izinto eziright ngoba abantu balindele lukhulu kuwe lonke ixesha. Into enzima ke ngoku wonke nawe ungumntu unempazamo fundi uzawuzenza njani impazamo abantu bengazilindelanga kuwe? Uzawuzenza abantu baza understand noba uyazenza na, ungabaleki xa wenze impazamo ungafuni ukujongana nabantu ngenxa yoba usithi ungumntu orayithi. Akho nto irongo uba ngumntu orayithi, unganguye umntu orayithi lonke ixesha lobomi bakho ude uyobhubha ungumntu owezinto erayithi. Akho nto irongo kuloo nto. Funa ukuthi ke mntanam apho sikubekele khona uyayazi usemfundweni, funda oko funda, ufunde ngonele, ufunde qha. Funa nje loo nto kuwe, enye nenye uzayibona ngaphambili.
uziphiwa isiqu sakhe usisebenzise emfazini wakhe. Zimba wami itempile kaye nawe asifuni kwamfana ungathathanga. Uyeva kwathini? Asifuni mntwana ungathathanga, uzoqala uthathe ukhombe kusifiwe lowa. Okwesibini kwakayifirst mntanam yileyo kokuba first things first. Yokuqala imfundo, eyokwesibini uzofumana OB abayi-3.
Okay, all right.
No-A abayi-2.
Okay.
Imali umane udlekana isifasi uthi cela imali. Akona imali kanisifasi kunesuthi esingazaziyo sibe sibhatala amatyala esingaziyo.
Okay.
Usiphiwo ndathini ke ngokuze ungabi namfazi eprotective. Bathande bonke amantombazana ngomzala ngokanina ngokanina. Mamela ke mntanam, ngithe uma uya eyunivesithi kukwela xesha le-stress ngiphethe ikhushini ozoyibeka u-stress free. Uxakeka hayi mfunga amazizi noba unganentloko kawuleyo phethe apha uyibeke bheka khethe uyibeke apha uthethe nothixo wakho. New Year noba yi-Christmas uze ukuyeka izitya zikalizeke ezimali ukatha zikatanga iibhiskithi zakho uzifaka ukhangatha uze uthi kuyandawo uhleli kuyo uzifaka apha iibhiskithi zakho kanye steamed bread siyaqala apha nge xa utyalwa kuhlali.